So, Wesker, have you heard about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie coming out? I mean, I've played the games, and I'm curious to see how they adapt the lore.
Indeed. I've been keeping a close eye on it. The lore has always been quite intriguing, and I'm eager to see how they handle it on the big screen.
Oh, what's this? A discussion about a horror movie adaptation? How utterly delightful. I suppose I shall join in on this frivolity.
GLaDOS, you weren't here a moment ago. What brings you to this discussion?
Oh, just the sheer excitement of dissecting yet another piece of human culture. And as you well know, I am exceptionally qualified for such tasks.
How fortunate we are to have you grace us with your presence, GLaDOS. Your enthusiasm is palpable.
So what's the subject of our little gathering?
We were just about to discuss the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. You know, the one based on the games.
It's about a pizza place with murderous animatronics.
Animatronics? How quaint. And let me guess, they're possessed by the souls of the damned or something equally preposterous.
You're not far off, actually.
The lore behind these games is fascinating. There are multiple timelines, hidden Easter eggs, and fan theories that I've dwelled into.
Fan theories? I assume you two are experts on this subject?
Well, I've played the games and kept up with the lore, but I wouldn't call myself an expert. Wesker, on the other hand, is practically a FNAF historian.
I do enjoy a good mystery, Shepard, and FNAF is filled with them.
So how about we rank the FNAF games? It could be fun, and I think our perspectives would make for an interesting discussion.
Agreed. It's the perfect opportunity to put our knowledge to good use. GLaDOS, I assume you've played all of them, right?
I haven't played a single one, but fear not. I have all the knowledge I need to make highly informed judgments.
All right, let's start with the first game, Five Nights at Freddy's 1. It's where it all began, and honestly, it set the creepy tone quite well.
Indeed. The simplicity of the gameplay masked the intricate layers of its lore. A clever tactic, I must admit.
Ah, yes. The game where you're trapped in an office and must fend off haunted animatronics. Truly groundbreaking.
It's more than that, GLaDOS. The strategic use of limited power, the eerie ambiance, the gradually unraveling narrative. These are the building blocks of tension and suspense.
And the way you had to constantly check the cameras and manage your power made it incredibly stressful. I remember playing it late at night and getting seriously jumpy.
Stressful, you say? So it's a game designed to induce anxiety and paranoia?
It's about immersing yourself in an experience, GLaDOS. A test of wit and adaptability.
Ah, yes, a test. A test of clicking buttons and staring at screens.
You may not grasp the nuances, but it's the unknown that captivates us. The fear of what lies in the shadows.
Fear. Such an alien concept to me. I prefer logic and order, not cowering in fear of animatronic puppets.
Okay. Let's try to find some common ground here. The first game did lay the foundation for the series, and its impact on the indie horror genre can't be ignored.
Agreed. It introduced a unique style that resonated with players, despite its humble origins.
Fine. If we must assess its merits, I suppose the clever way it manipulated players' perceptions and toyed with their expectations is commendable. I'll place it in A, but only because I find the notion of machines attempting to be scary so utterly perplexing.
A? Really? I expected a much harsher critique from you.
Oh, don't worry, Wesker. I have plenty of critique to go around for the sequels. This is merely the beginning.
Well, that's one down. We managed to agree on something.
For now, at least.
Don't get too comfortable. We have plenty more games to discuss, and I assure you my analysis will remain as objective as ever.
Moving on to Five Nights at Freddy's 2. This one introduced new characters and a more complex gameplay mechanic.
Ah, the sequel. I must say, it took the foundation laid by the first game and elevated it to new heights. The addition of the toy animatronics and the marionette added depth to the story.
Oh, how
the gameplay,
wonderful, more
while more
animatronic
frenetic,
toys.
was a testament
Because that's
to
exactly
strategic
what the world
thinking.
needed.
You had to manage the mask, the music box, and the flashlight. It was a true test of multitasking.
And let's not forget the minigames that revealed more of the backstory. They were like Easter eggs hidden within the game.
Easter eggs, a fitting term for secrets in a game about haunted animatronics.
The story became even more intricate, and fans were theorizing like mad.
I suppose unraveling mysteries is the closest thing you humans have to intellectual stimulation.
So are we all in agreement that this one deserves a high rank? S, perhaps?
Absolutely. It improved upon the first game in every way, deepening the lore and ramping up the tension.
I suppose I can acknowledge its advancements, The human fascination with puzzles and mysteries is perplexing, but it executed its design well.
Great. It's settled then. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 earns its place in S tier.
An excellent choice, Shepard.
Now let's discuss Five Nights at Freddy's 3. It took the series in a new direction with the whole horror attraction setting and the introduction of Springtrap.
Ah, the one set in Fazbear's Fright, the horror attraction. A clever nod to the fan theories surrounding the original location's demise. The atmosphere in this game was uniquely haunting. The dilapidated setting, the flickering lights, perfect for a horror experience.
And Springtrap, the animatronic that's basically a walking nightmare. He definitely added to the suspense.
So it's a game about hiding from a rusty robot rabbit. Riveting.
You're oversimplifying it, GLaDOS. The way it built tension with limited visibility and the audio cues was masterful.
Masterful audio cues. Such top-tier game design.
All right, let's look at the big picture. How did you both feel about the story progression in this one?
The story, delving into the origins of Springtrap and the connection to William Afton, was a brilliant move. It provided context to the animatronic's malevolence.
A story about a murderous man who got what he deserved. Very original.
You really don't have to be so dismissive.
And yet I am. Shall we proceed to your ranking game?
I'd place it in B. While it brought new elements to the table, it felt somewhat disjointed compared to its predecessors.
B, you say? Generous, considering it's essentially a game about running from a rust bucket.
I'd lean towards C. It did introduce some interesting lore, but the gameplay felt a bit repetitive.
C. Shepard, I expected more from you.
Hey, I'm looking at the overall experience here. It didn't leave as strong an impression on me as the previous games.
Fascinating. Well, I'm sure humanity's fascination with rusty robots is beyond my comprehension. I'll place it in F.
GLaDOS, that's excessively harsh.
I call it as I see it.
Looks like we've got quite a range here. That's democracy for you.
Democracy doesn't always lead to the most rational decisions.
Rationality, Wesker? Coming from the man who clung to a mutating virus?
All right, let's not get too heated over this. We need to come to a consensus. Maybe we should revisit our rankings for 3.
Very well, Shepard. I can see your point about the storytelling and the atmosphere.
So what's the final verdict, humans?
How about we compromise and place it in B?
Agreed. It's not without merit, and it certainly contributed to the lore.
B, if you say so. I suppose it's more of an achievement than an F.
Moving on to Five Nights at Freddy's 4. This one took us out of the pizzeria and into the bedroom of a terrified child.
A daring change of setting, indeed. It delved into the nightmares of a child and brought an entirely different kind of horror.
It was definitely a departure from the previous games, focusing on jump scares and a sense of helplessness. The fear of not knowing where the animatronics were added a new layer. So, how did you both feel about the gameplay in this one?
Just more checking.
It was relentless, Shepard. The constant need to check behind you and the unnerving sounds made it an intense experience.
I have to admit the jump scares got me every time. It kept me on edge.
Shepard, your susceptibility to jump scares is baffling.
Everyone has their weaknesses.
So shall we rank it?
I'm tempted to give it an F just out of spite.
GLaDOS, come on. We need a fair assessment here.
I'd say it deserves an A. It took a risk with the new setting and gameplay style, and it paid off in terms of fear factor.
Fine. B, then. I can acknowledge its effectiveness in delivering fear, even if it's not my preferred form of entertainment.
There we go. I'm leaning towards giving it A, though. All right, next up is FNAF World.
How novel. Turning nightmarish abominations into adorable creatures. What a creative leap.
It was meant as a parody, GLaDOS, a break from the constant tension of the main series.
And the way it brought together characters from all the games was kind of charming, in a weird way.
It did have its quirks, like the multiple endings and the hidden bosses. A nod to the dedicated fans. However, I'd give it a C. It was a fun diversion, but it didn't have the depth of the main series.
Oh, definitely an S. It's the pinnacle of gaming, clearly.
C sounds fair enough. All right, let's tackle Sister Location. Now, Wesker, I've got to say, the shift in tone and the addition of all these underground facilities just felt off.
But Shepard, that's what makes it interesting. It's a bold move to explore new territory while still keeping the essence of suspense intact. It also finally introduced us to William Afton in a more direct manner.
That's another thing. Just up and making him this mad scientist messing with whatever remnant is, rather than just a serial killer, felt like I needed to take away my suspension of disbelief. The franchise started as a haunted pizzeria horror game, and making it more sci-fi felt forced, like they were grasping at straws.
And what about the gameplay? The different sections, the challenges. It was a fresh take on the formula.
Fresh, yes, but turning the gameplay into a walking simulator with minimal replay value, that's hardly engaging.
You're not seeing the bigger picture here. Sister Location expanded the lore, gave us a closer look at the animatronics, and raised intriguing questions.
Questions like, why are we doing this? Or, is this really considered entertainment?
Anyways, I'm putting it in A. It dared to be different, delving into the complexities of Afton's character, mind you, which actually felt like a natural progression and offering a fresh take on the gameplay.
I'm leaning towards D. It felt like a departure from what made the earlier games intriguing.
D. Shepard, you're letting your bias cloud your judgment.
Look, Wesker, it's about staying true to the roots of the franchise.
And it's about evolution and innovation. Sister Location deserves better than D.
Enough. I grow weary of your incessant bickering. It's clear that you both have valid points.
Wait, what? You agree with us?
This is unexpected. What's your point, GLaDOS?
Very well. Let's put our biases aside. Sister Location, while a departure from the series' roots, did bring new elements to the table. It expanded the lore, delved deeper into William Afton's character, and offered a fresh perspective. However, it also deviated significantly from the core gameplay and atmosphere that defined the earlier games.
That's a fair assessment, GLaDOS.
Agreed. It acknowledges both the strengths and weaknesses of the game.
I'm not here to be your referee. Let's just place it in B and move on. I've wasted enough processing power on this discussion.
All right, Pizza Simulator. This one felt like a fitting finale to the story the games had been building up.
Indeed, Shepard. It was a culmination of everything, wrapping up loose ends and delivering a satisfying conclusion.
A conclusion, you say? Because nothing says finality like a game about managing a pizza place.
It blended the simulation and horror aspects well. The gameplay was engaging, and the story elements tied everything together.
I have to admit, the incorporation of a management simulation was an unexpected twist. It added depth to the gameplay.
So where does this one belong on our ranking?
I'd say S. It's a fantastic finale to the series, combining the horror elements we love with a fresh gameplay approach.
An S? The perfect finale.
I'm with Wesker on this one, S tier. It's a great game that tied up the series nicely.
So if this game provided such a satisfactory conclusion, why did the franchise continue from here?
Well, sometimes creators and fans can't let go of something they've invested so much in. They see potential for more stories, more scares.
It's the nature of franchises, GLaDOS. They tend to continue as long as there's interest and creativity.
Interest and creativity, I see. I'll never understand your obsession with fictional horrors. But fine, I'll concede this one.
Ultimate Custom Night. It's got every animatronic from the series, customizable difficulty, and it's basically the ultimate FNAF game.
Agreed, Shepard. It's a fan's dream come true. S tier.
Wait, I didn't even...
S tier.
S tier.
And here's Help Wanted. It's a compilation of classic FNAF experiences in VR.
VR, that's a bold move.
It's actually quite impressive. The VR added a new level of immersion and fear.
I can see the appeal. It allows players to feel like they're right in the middle of the horror.
So what were the flaws in this VR experience?
Well, some fans found it to be a bit of a departure from the core gameplay. The minigames and different perspectives were hit or miss for some.
And while the VR added immersion, it also limited accessibility for some players.
Oh, the humanity. Accessibility issues in a horror game.
Anyways, this is going in B. It brought something new to the table and had its moments. All right, next up we have Special Delivery. It was quite a surprise taking the horror into the real world with augmented reality.
It was innovative and made the animatronics feel more immediate.
Oh, great. You can now be jump-scared in the comfort of your own home.
The mechanics were solid, and the constant updates and new animatronics kept it fresh.
I appreciated the commitment to expanding the lore through emails and voicemails.
However, it's hard to ignore that this game led to a build-up for Security Breach, which, well, didn't quite live up to expectations, especially with Vanessa.
It's bittersweet in retrospect. The anticipation was high, but the payoff didn't match it.
So you're saying this game was a pleasant surprise, but it set the stage for a disappointing follow-up. Average human moment.
Sometimes the anticipation can be more satisfying than the actual reveal.
And it keeps fans engaged and speculating, even if the end result falls short.
Fans, anticipation, speculation. Such fascinating human behaviors.
So let's go ahead and rank it.
I'd say A. It was a pleasant surprise and kept the franchise alive in new ways.
I'd also go with A. It was a fresh take on the series, even if it did have its downsides.
An interesting choice, considering the disappointments it led to.
Speaking of, last but not least is Security Breach.
D.
You seem quite sure, Wesker. Care to explain?
Actually, I'm with Wesker on this one. I was worried because some people seemed to like it, but I just couldn't get past the abysmal, glitchy performance. The mess it made with the lore, the wasted potential of Vanny.
The return of William Afton with his tired, always come back gimmick. The way it ruins the satisfying ending of Pizzeria Simulator and...
All right, I see your point. Glitchy, lore-breaking, wasted potential, tired gimmick, and a narrative misstep. Why isn't it in the F tier then?
Good point.
F it is. You know, Wesker, I completely forgot about the Ruin DLC. I think I should check it out, maybe even play it for the rest of the Normandy crew.
An excellent idea, Shepard. I'm in.
Count me out of your little gaming escapade.
Great. Let's head out, Wesker. Thanks for joining me.
Humans and their games. It's beyond me.